this? What's going on here?
We are changing it up this week with an EYDK about a classic survival horror video game from 21 years ago that also has been adapted into one of today's most popular shows.
And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
Bran? I still don't... Actually, no. I'm talking about Stranger Things. Why Stranger Things? Well, because I really wanted an excuse to dress up in my Ghostbusters outfit. Also, I have mind powers like 11. Watch me move this potato. Why does it only work when nobody's watching? Just cut it. But also because of the fact that while Stranger Things is famously influenced by classic 80s horror masters like Stephen King and John Carpenter, it was also heavily influenced by Silent Hill. They have the same type of look, vibe, and even a similar sound with equally unnerving soundtracks.
You let us in.
Not to mention that goddamn siren. Yo, that thing is just burned in my brain. Silent Hill is also all about weird demons, possessions, hallucinations, and an alternate reality where monsters try to destroy our world. Sounds a lot like the Mind Flayer. If you're a fan of Silent Hill, you definitely saw the similarities in Stranger Things, especially when watching season 1. Probably because the Duffer Brothers have admitted that yes, the Upside Down was influenced by Silent Hill, but it goes far beyond that. The show's premise, vibe, and characters all feel like direct parallels to Silent Hill, and I'll tell you how and everything you didn't know about Silent Hill. Silent Hill is a psychological horror game released in 1999 for the Sony PlayStation. Along with Resident Evil, it helped establish survival horror as a critically acclaimed video game genre. Like Resident Evil, you kill a lot of monsters. Oh. Yeah, the zombie hunchback nurses still hit. Also, great metal band name. But Silent Hill was different because they put a heavy emphasis on upping the creep factor, where exploring a town is almost as scary as the monsters themselves. How good does it feel to just kick them over and over? Yeah, hold that for me. Also, a good way to conserve ammo. Aside from stomping out monster corpses, Silent Hill had a very relatable premise that grounded the experience. Let's do a quick recap. And what better way to start than with the game's very own sitcom intro. The story kicks off with the most questionable thing in this game, which is saying a lot, which is when the main character, Harry Mason, and his adopted daughter, key point for later, Cheryl, drive to Silent Hill for a vacation. Really, dude? That's where you're taking your 7-year-old on a vacation? A sleepy New England town called Silent Hill? The scary church is like the main attraction.
I knew you'd come.
After a car crash, Harry wakes up to find his daughter Cheryl is missing.
My daughter. I've got to find her.
Seen that before.
Will didn't spend the night?
No, he left here a little bit after 8.
Why, he's not home?
But I also don't blame Cheryl if she was just trying to dip from the wackest vacation ever. Also, she's probably tired of him always saying her name.
Cheryl? Is that Cheryl?
And while I'm on Harry for a second, we gotta talk about those incredibly high-waisted pants. He kinda has the whole Steve Urkel look going, no?
Look out, dude, on the loose! Get down!
I'm just playing. But that's actually what sets this game apart from other survival horror games that preceded it. You're not playing as some highly trained professional killer, just a normal guy who barely knows how to use a gun.
Have you got a gun?
No.
I mean, real talk, it's probably how any of us would feel if we woke up with our daughter missing in the creepiest town of all time. Seriously, the school was the happiest place in town and it's up. They managed to make a supernatural story that felt incredibly grounded yet disorienting, where you're never really sure what's real and what's imagined, which is another Stranger Things staple. Now, the town of Silent Hill is completely deserted aside from a few key characters who show up with even less of an idea about what's going on than you, like the one cop who cares, Sybil Bennett.
Where is everybody?
I'd tell you if I knew, believe me. But from what I can tell, something bizarre's going on.
You'd think they'd throw some more resources at this. Also, there's the town's hospital director, Dr. Michael Coffin, who seems pretty chill about the whole disappearing town thing.
I was taking a nap in the staff room. When I woke up, it was like this.
Dude's a super deep sleeper. I'm talking about my cousin Vinny level deep nap. Then there's the kind nurse Lisa, who also slept through the cataclysm. This town is narcoleptic. You end up feeling bad for her right up until she tries to wipe her blood eyes all over you. Yo, keep it arm's length, lady. It's kinda nasty. Then there's the only person who seems to have a clue. The very clearly evil cult leader, Dahlia Gillespie, who's also pretty passive-aggressive.
Have you not seen the crest marked on the ground all over town?
Yeah. No need for the attitude, Mumra. She looks like Mumra, come on. As Harry explores Silent Hill, he discovers that it's being transformed into someone's nightmare. Essentially, another dimension filled with monsters.
This whole town, it's being invaded by the other world. The world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life.
And the monsters Harry fights are very similar to the ones from Stranger Things. There's the hopping dogs, who are similar to demo dogs. Oh, and Stranger Things also does the whole zombie thing in season 3. My favorite Silent Hill monsters were these little guys. Come on, he was just trying to give Harry a hug. They also look a bit like the Demogorgon to me too. No? See, I would rip that dude in half with my mind powers. Just like this piece of paper. Cut away for a second. I give up. Eventually, Harry finds the source of the nightmare, the girl who caused his car crash in the first place, Dahlia's daughter, Alessa.
This is the end of your little game.
My nightmare is the car insurance bill that she caused with the car crash, because you know my man's rate is going up.
What are you talking about?
The story ends with the reveal that Dahlia forced Alessa to try to give birth to the cult's monster goddess. You know, that old tale. Which is messed up, but then again, Dahlia is a horrible mom.
You've been a ghastly little pest, haven't you, Alessa?
Alessa resisted the ritual, which bisected her soul, with one half turning the town into the current nightmare, and the other transforming into a baby named Cheryl, whom Harry adopted. Whose name is actually based on actor Cheryl Lee, who was in Twin Peaks and John Carpenter's Vampires. In the big villain fight, Dahlia summons the Order's deity who undergoes an incredible makeover. Yeah, that's way better. Based on the decisions you make throughout the game, several different endings are possible. In the Good Plus ending, Harry escapes with Sybil and an infant who is a reincarnation of Alessa. Then there's the good ending, which is considered canon, though that's debated. It's my least favorite ending because Kaufman kills Dahlia, and as the player and #1 Dahlia hater, really wanted to offer myself. The ending I got in my very first playthrough back then was the bad ending. The cult god merges with Alessa and kills Dahlia.
This is a god descending among us to reach out and save us!
Harry defeats the god, but then collapses. We cut to his crashed car, showing he died in the original car crash. It's a real downer, and I always found the bad plus ending to be a bit misleading because Harry kills the deity and then seems mostly fine?
Harry. Go.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't get his daughter back, but she was an evil cult god, so not a total loss, I guess. Finally, there's a secret fifth ending that's my favorite. He gets abducted by aliens. It's incredible.
Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair.
It was meant to be a joke ending, but I love it. It shows that there's a sense of humor at work behind this seriously dark game, very much like Stranger Things. Silent Hill was developed by Konami, the Japanese game company responsible for classic franchises like Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Contra. It was specifically developed by a subdivision called Team Silent, which reportedly was made up of programmers and designers who were all self-described failures, just like Dahlia.
Even though Alessa has been stopped, his little girl has to go. What a pity.
Yo, she really is the absolute worst. Actually, Team Silent and Duffer Brothers, who created Stranger Things, have similar backgrounds. They weren't necessarily failures, but their previous work hadn't caught on. They made a horror film called Hidden, even that image looks super Silent Hill-y, and worked on Wayward Pines, struggling a bit before Stranger Things.
I think the biggest mistake we made is we started to, when we graduated, that we were trying to break in, we started to chase the trends. Like I remember at the time, found footage was all the rage, like Paranormal Activity had come out. We didn't particularly respond to found footage, but we thought, well, maybe we can do, our take on it. So you end up writing stuff that's not really in your voice or not something that you're passionate about.
But when they did write something that they were passionate about, it was steeped in 80s pop culture references, which, of course, have to include the works of Stephen King.
Stephen King, I haven't met him in person, but he tweeted about our show and we've exchanged some emails with him, and that still blows my mind because growing up, he was such an inspiration. I mean, he's like a god to us. Stephen King references are also all over Silent Hill. Remember Bachman Road? Well, it's an allusion to King's pen name, Richard Bachman.
Where was it?
On Bachman Road. She was heading towards the lake.
Then there's this door that has red rum across it, a reference of course to King's The Shining.
Red rum. Red rum.
They also loosely reference a trope from The Mist, with the notes that are left around town in hopes to help those who find them. Oh, and here's a deep-ass cut Stephen King reference. A poster saying, "Study, damn it," which was a photo of Stephen King originally published in the main campus student paper when King was a student at the University of Maine. It's also implied that Silent Hill takes place in Maine, which is Stephen King's home state. Of course, there are a lot of other pop culture references at play in Stranger Things as well. The whole thing is basically an homage to everything 80s.
What's happening?
I have no idea.
Same with Silent Hill. Like how there are Indiana Jones and Die Hard posters around the theater, there's also a bunch of references to classic horror movies, like how Alessa looks almost identical to Florence Tanner from The Legend of Hell House. And like how Harry finds a store called Cut Right Chainsaw, similar to the store from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Also, quick tip, that's where you find a chainsaw in the game.
Cut right.
Silent Hill was a huge hit. It was well received by players and critics, and it reportedly sold over 2 million copies, making it one of PlayStation's greatest hits. Though, I think the corrupted version would have sold more.
Have you seen a little girl?
The body horror is insane. Also, can we just point out that Silent Hill's demonic alternative realm is totally the Upside Down. I mean, the Nightmare realm in this game is often referred to as the Other World or Other Side, which is very similar. See? It looks just like it. And that's by design, as Ross Duffer explains, and I quote, "Silent Hill is the one most people have picked up on, because that's the least subtle one, with the look of the Upside Down and with all the fog and the forest dripping. Obviously, we were really looking at that game for visualizing this other world, so that's a big one." End quote. And it's all there. The Upside Down is quiet, desolate, and foggy as hell. Reportedly, the Other World was specifically designed that way in the game to reduce the amount of on-screen graphics due to a short-handed programming department. That's why you can never see a goddamn thing, especially at night. As I've been saying, there's so much more alike, even in tone. The horror elements are very similar. They both focus on slow building tension rather than just jump scares. But when they did jump scares, they were incredibly effective. There are spiritual possessions like Sybil and Will, and super creepy schools that you never ever want to go to. The design of that school was supposedly based on the school from the movie Kindergarten Cop. Actually, Adam, can we cut to a clip of that?
What's the matter?
I have a headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
Classic. Also, both towns are filled with the worst hospitals ever. Seriously, nothing good ever happens at an abandoned hospital. And then there are the characters. You have the parent looking for the lost child, who's also one of the only ones who thinks something weird is going on. Also, he might be a little unstable.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm out of my mind.
Then there's the rogue sheriff, the only person of authority who seems to care that children are going missing. Also, like Dr. Kaufman, Stranger Things has its own resident crazy doctor at the heart of their supernatural conspiracy, Dr. Brenner. Then there's a supernaturally powerful child, Alessa, and 11, and your boy. Alright, seriously, I'm gonna make this potato fly now. Check it out. I never said how I'd make it fly. It feels like there's so many similarities because both the game and the show were pulling from the same source materials, which is how radios, an 80s staple, become an important plot point in the game and the show.
What's going on with that radio?
Even the fight scenes look similar, like when Bob takes on the demo dogs. Oh, or how about how they both have a bunch of cryptic symbols that connect to the supernatural mystery. Though Silent Hill and Stranger Things' greatest similarity is their success. Thankfully, Stranger Things is everywhere, with 3 seasons in the tank and more still to come. Meanwhile, Silent Hill spawned 7 more games, with a new one rumored to be on the way, as well as 2 movies. I really like the first one. Second one, not so much.
The darkness is coming. It's safer to be inside.
You know what? At least they got the siren right. Which is your favorite Silent Hill game and movie? I'm partial to the OG, although PT demo was dope.
The father purchased the rifle used in the crime.
Also, are you team Resident Evil or Silent Hill? That's always a good conversation starter. Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. For more EYDK, make sure you click, touch, or do whatever you do over there. And for new episodes that drop every other week, make sure you subscribe over there.